Hello and welcome to the Musical Instrument Investigator. My name is Sheldon and today we're going to have a look at another violin that I've bought. So this is Violin Acquisition Syndrome number 5, not in any order, I'm just picking stuff out randomly that I thought might be interesting to show. So what we have here today is a violin made by a member of the Hopf family. Now the Hopf family were quite a large family operating in Klingenthal in Germany. I think between maybe mid 18th century to mid 19th century. I could be a bit wrong on that, maybe it extends further each side, but not quite sure. But numerous amounts of people, also some notable people, family members there like David, Christian, Hopf, etc. But this particular violin I think is like a lower level one, just like a general workshop family member of etc. Now Hopf violins, you might have kind of heard of them before. You see loads, hundreds, thousands of these kind of types of violins all over the internet, all over eBay, etc., with kind of Hopf stamped at the back or Hopf inside. Now some of those are maybe correct, and there were some kind of David Hopf violins with kind of stamps of the button or kind of initials stamped inside, but the vast majority of those are like later 19th century kind of just cheap trade violins that have just had this Hopf stamp on because it's a name and it helps kind of sell things a little bit. I don't believe they're any kind of relation to the family itself, but this one I believe is a Hopf family violin from about 1800, I say. These violins are actually quite distinctive in shape, in these kind of quite aggressive F-holes. This is kind of what differentiates kind of a real one to kind of one of the later 19th century ones. The 19th century ones are quite generic in their kind of appearance, but the actual Hopf ones you find are quite, at least these lower end ones, there's quite aggressive styling. Some of the David Christian Hopf ones, some of the other family members, they're a bit more refined. Actually some of them are quite nice and quite valuable. But yeah, this is an interesting violin for sure. We're obviously going to go into the details of it a bit later when I do all of the close-ups and things, but I'll just tell you kind of a little bit about it and see what I think. So you can see that the condition is not great at all, to be honest, and I said this is probably a lower, would have been a lower level violin from the workshop anyway, but we've got lots of kind of repaired cracks. I mean, it would be would be playable at the moment, but you can see all these cracks here at the side. I think the center joint has been open at some point. It needs a setup, probably new bridge, new tailpiece. I mean, a lot of work probably needed on this, but it does have quite a bit of charm. It has a neck graft on it, so that's interesting. It could be a little bit later than 1800s, could be 1820, something like that, but around that kind of ilk. There's been some kind of dodgy repairs on the headstock, sorry, on the scroll on either side, and there's some patches and stuff, so it's a little bit nasty. I've been told that actually there were of these lower tier kind of instruments, like kind of two different types. You'd have like this kind of browny kind of colour, or kind of slightly browny red colour instrument, and then I think there would also be maybe like a lighter kind of type as well. So you do see a few different types of varnish there. If anyone knows any more about that, please correct me, because I could be wrong there. Looking at the back, we have a broken button here that probably need to be repaired. I mean, it's stable at the moment, but it's not very nice. We've got some real dodgy repairs at the top shoulder as well, a whole load of different things. I mean, in general, it's not in the worst condition. Like I said, I think it would be playable now to some degree, but probably not amazing. But yeah, a bit of TLC. I mean, if you could live with not reopening these cracks and just dealing with them how they are, it could be a good folk violin for someone. It's had a bit of a wedge under the fingerboard and things like that, but yeah, I think not a super amazing violin. Would be probably fine for a folk player. I'm not sure it would be a suitable instrument in this condition anyway for kind of like a student, especially not a young student. But yeah, interesting violin. Scroll is kind of quite nice, to that kind of German style. I've heard people say before they call like this like the Hinterkopf, where it's got like a larger kind of head coming up from the scroll side of the scroll that kind of goes up a bit, which is interesting. But yeah, quite a nice kind of piece of wood on the back, nothing extravagant. Arching is all fairly normal, no major kind of comments on that, but yeah, just in general, in not the greatest of conditions, but it was very cheap. And you know, this is, like I said, it's either, you know, on the kind of turn of the 1800s. I mean, it could well be late 18th century, it's possible, but probably 1800 or a little bit after is likely. But a way to get quite an old, like a violin 200 years old, for quite cheap, and like I said, a bit of work, and it will probably be good to play again. So yeah, this is a violin made by a member of the Hopf family circa 1800, and now we're going to have a look a bit more closely at some of the details. So looking a bit more closely at this Hopf family violin, we can see quite a distinctive outline, very like aggressive, almost menacing F-holes here, and that's like a trait at least of some of the lower tier Hopf family instruments. You do also see this kind of aggressive F-holes on other German instruments as well, but I think the combination of the outline and the F-holes, to me anyway, is quite distinctive of this kind of Hopf family. We can see quite a number of cracks here. They are kind of repaired at the moment, but they're obviously very old, and it would probably could do with a bit of a restoration on that, but still an interesting violin. Varnish is like quite, I don't know, it's not the nicest of varnish. It's a bit this is a bit kind of browny, I suppose. In certain lights it's a bit more red. This is now kind of going a bit super light. This is a problem with the lighting in here, but it's quite a bit of a brown colour, and it's a bit of a harsh kind of varnish, not particularly pleasant, I would say. But we can see here that there's been this button repair here, which I think is stable, but it's a little bit raised when you feel it. You can have a look at some of the corner work there. It's actually not too bad. It's certainly curious. Then looking a bit at the scroll, you can see actually from the side profile here that it's all fine, like it's kind of well made, not really an issue there. You can see arching is completely fairly standard, I would say. Looking here at the scroll, I think it's okay from the front. It has charm. I wouldn't say it's like amazing, but I think it's okay. Fairly kind of very German from the side. It's obviously, this has had a few kind of cheeks fitted. There's a bit missing here, so that would need attention. And then from the other side, I think it's a nice enough scroll, and from the back it's fine. So I think at the top here there's a really nasty repair there on that shoulder, so that would also need attention. So it needs a bit of work doing for sure. You could play it now as like a folk fiddle player, I think, but I would not really play it if you were doing anything else. I think it's got charm, and I wouldn't write off these kind of Hopf family instruments. Like I said, completely different to those kind of later 19th century Hopf stamped instruments that you see. They're completely different. So this is a, like I said, kind of circa 1800 Hopf family instrument. So yeah, there you go. Well, I hope you found this kind of interesting. If you have any kind of other questions about this violin or any violins at all, just let me know. I think for this one, in terms of if I'm going to keep it or sell it on, I'm not sure at the moment. I think I'll kind of keep it. I'm not in a rush to kind of sell anything. Would I keep it long term? I think if I'd answer that question maybe a year ago or so, I might have said, oh, I'd probably definitely keep it. Now I've kind of changed really what I'm looking to keep, and kind of changed what I'm interested in collecting. So I think I would probably sell it on, but no regrets at all for buying it, because it wasn't very expensive at all. So just good to look at and kind of understand some other making, and have a look at the Hopf family's work. So yeah, that's the Hopf family violin. Thanks a lot for watching, really appreciate it, and catch you on the next one. Bye.